Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to the Sunflower Reports. Today, we're going to read through some of the evidence and details and testimonies that were presented on day 2 and 3 of the preliminary hearing for David's murder trial. Just like I said in my last video, just a disclaimer that there is going to be gruesome details regarding a minor and murder and violence and things of that nature. And the second thing is YouTube. This is for educational purposes only. Let's go ahead and get started. This one talks about David in court alleged $13 million financial motive and gruesome Tesla evidence take center stage. So just a brief summary of what was happening. There were graphic details and horrific images continued to be shown in court regarding the killing of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. On the second day of the preliminary hearing, LAPD criminalists presented graphic forensic evidence detailing 11 air fresheners and maggots found inside Burke's impounded Tesla. Okay. Day 2, Wednesday preliminary hearing got off to a heated start as defense objections during testimony from Singer David's financial manager prompt the judge to tell both sides to stop. This is referring to, like I've heard a couple of independent journalists and people who were in the courtroom say that there was a heated exchange between the prosecution and the defense. So it seemed like there was some cattiness going on and some previous history that they have going through trials together. So that's what that's referring to. All right. Interscope Records Senior VP of Finance, Louise Piermo, hope I'm saying that right, testified that David's deal was worth 13 to 19 million dollars plus millions in endorsements, advances from brands like Crocs, Hollister, and Bose. Defense attorneys argued that David's mother handled the day-to-day finances to show he was unaware of his net worth. However, prosecutors pushed back, arguing that David personally signed major contracts and may have kept unrecorded accounts to buy plane tickets to London for himself and 14-year-old Celeste Rivas. Now, okay, I'm not saying that everybody is the most financially savvy. There's a lot of people who are like that, even rich people, which is why they have accountants and financial managers to manage their money. But you mean to tell me that he didn't have an idea of how much money he was making? Come on, come on. I don't think any rich person has no idea what they're making. Like even just a small inkling of an idea, okay? Passport discovery and forensic evidence. Testimony turned to physical evidence as CHP officer testified a Caltrans worker found Celeste's passport card in tall grass along Highway 154 in Santa Barbara County. Defense argues Defense attorneys noted that the worker handled the cards with bare hands and that it was never dusted for fingerprints. Okay, so now for this part with the Santa Barbara County, I'm wondering if they traveled to Santa Barbara together and then she lost her passport, or if he went there because there was apparently he went to Santa Barbara multiple times. He made trips there. So I'm trying to figure out at what point did this passport get lost? Did David go there and dispose of it, or which was considered evidence in my opinion, or did she just lose it when they were traveling together? I don't even know why it would matter if the this is why I think the defense is kind of getting a little crazy here. Because I don't think it matters if this passport was dusted for fingerprints. Because number one, it would have shown that it belonged the worker is the one that handled it. And number two, if it was tested for fingerprints, what would that lay the foundation for? If the fingerprints came back, they were Celeste's fingerprints, or if they were David's. If anything, it makes David look more guilty. LAPD criminalists then detailed graphic findings inside Burke's impounded Tesla in a Hollywood Hills garage. Tesla findings, despite the victim's remains being removed from the Tesla's trunk, a criminalist noted that a heavy stench of decomposition, maggots, dead flies, and 11 air fresheners scattered near the driver's seat and trunk. Okay, so I'm reading this and getting disheveled. You can see I'm stuttering a little bit because this is a disturbing case to read through and even watch take place. 11 air fresheners? Has anyone ever tried to get rid of a smell in the bathroom from having a bowel movement? It barely works then, but you're talking about 11 air fresheners for a decomposing body. That's ridiculous to me. Garage evidence. A second criminalist detailed finding rubber floor mats marked with linear cuts from a sharp object. Initial chemical tests showed positive indicators of blood on the mats. The brick floor underneath, a rowing machine, tarps, a Tesla charger, and trash bags containing blood-stained wipes and fabric. Clean inflatable pool. Investigators recovered a blue inflatable pool that smelled freshly cleaned with a folded dryer sheet inside, which also tested positive for blood under chemical testing. Two seized chainsaws tested negative for blood. So I think from day one they were unable to recover one of the chainsaws, and I think that was might have been the one that she was dismembered with. And that's just my opinion. Because these were these were seized, but they were negative for blood. So, I mean, they didn't find the third one. So let's go into day two. Some of the details in day two. Okay, day three. I'm sorry, day three. Okay, so now let me see if I can find this picture. There was a sketch of David in court. I think it's from day three. So once we go down and read day three, I think we can. Okay, so this right here, right? You know that meme where it talks about this is the moment that he knew he effed up? Because the whole time we're hearing from reporters and journalists that he's sitting there completely unbothered and nonchalant in court, just completely unbothered. And this is really the first time that he's made like an actual expression. Okay, let's talk about some of the details from day three. Now that was on day four, but let's get to day three. All right. Preliminary hearing, defense questions, collection of evidence. Court observers were stunned by the evidence presented in court during the third day of the preliminary hearing. Cell tower and Tesla data maps. Trips to Santa Barbara site. Okay, this is a key detail here. LAPD detective William Roecker of the Sailor Analysis Survey Team, who has been working with the FBI, presented location tracking data mapping David's movements following the murder during his testimony. Using historical call and cell tower records, Roecker analyzed two mobile devices associated with David, including an international line connected directly to his Tesla vehicle. He also testified that both devices moved simultaneously from David's Hollywood Hills home to the Highway 154 location in Santa Barbara County, where Celeste's passport card was found on three separate occasions. April 23rd to 24th, 2025, hours after investigators believe Celeste was killed, both devices traveled to Santa Barbara at 12:04 a.m. on April 24th. An ongoing call was placed from David's phone to Celeste's number while in the area. The Tesla returned to Los Angeles by 7:07 a.m. in the morning. May 8th through 9th, 2025, cell tower data again placed both devices near the highway site overnight. May 31st, 2025, both devices were traveled back to the location with records showing the Tesla stopped at a charge station near the passport discovery site before returning home. So this is a lot of bouncing around and traveling. So I'm thinking that he's just disposing of evidence because, mind you, the fingers that were not recovered from Celeste's hand, they were never recovered. Those two fingers. So I'm thinking he's just throwing stuff, disposing of evidence and disposing of things. Because why would you go back to this same location three times? And also, is he meeting somebody? Is he meeting someone? Because like I said in my last video, I don't think he's the only one that's a part of this. So I'm trying to figure out if he was meeting someone in this area on these dates. A second criminalist testified regarding the inflatable pool displayed on the exhibit table in court, stating that cuts in the pool appeared to stem from a sharp object rather than a normal wear and tear. In a key piece of forensic testimony, the criminalist confirmed she physically matched plastic fragments recovered during Celeste Rivas Hernandez autopsy directly to the cuts in the blue pool found inside Burke's garage, explaining that the physical fit was like puzzle pieces. Wow. A medical examiner also took to the stand and said Rivas Hernandez's remains were identified through dental records. She weighed 71 pounds and was listed as 5 feet and 2 inches tall at the time of the examination. So there were sketches in court on day three of her body being put back to her pieces being put back together so that way they can show her whole. This is the sketch is alone is disturbing. So I can't even imagine actually being in the courtroom and seeing the actual real pictures of her limbs. And one of her eyes was missing. The body, half of the skull or the head was decomposed to like skeletal. You could see her hair skeleton, okay? And her legs were chopped up into I think 3 or 4 pieces. So this is so gruesome, right? And the fact that he disassociated himself, he has no reaction up until this point. I'm gonna cover day 4. I want to read through some of the details from day 4 as well. But I'm gonna make that into a separate video so that way we can talk about more of the details. So the timelines of all this is just very, very interesting to me. This Santa Barbara stuff right here to me is a key part. Um, Now, one thing I will say is that there has been speculation, and I thought it was a rumor. I'm not sure if it's 100% true that Celeste's parents did sign a notarized travel form for her to go overseas to London with David. Now, someone had a theory that, David said in the interview, well, it wasn't a theory, this was actual facts, that David said in the interview that his mom is now working as a notary. She used to be a teacher and she doesn't do that anymore. So somebody had a theory on TikTok that the mother may have notarized the document. Like I said, I think his parents specifically, knew about this girl. That's what I think. I'm not sure about Celeste's parents because I know, well, at least we were told that the dad doesn't completely speak English. So we'll have to see where that goes with that. But let me know what you all think about some of the details that I read for day 3, 2 and 3 of the preliminary hearing. I would love to engage with you all in the comments, and I will see you all back here for part 4, day 4 of the preliminary hearing for the David case.